Welcome to another episode of Child Sexual Abuse Prevention by Zina podcast. I'm your host, Zina Poncel. Before I get cranked up on our topic today, which is exhibitionism, I wanted to drop a little personal note in here to ask you to continue to pray for the families that were hit by Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. While we were greatly affected by these hurricanes, primarily Hurricane Helene in our area, there are others who lost everything, including family members. So just please continue to pray for them as they try to rebuild their lives. Now, moving forward on a super personal note, I'm going to try to get through this. I can do it. I had mentioned on a previous podcast that my mother has been ill for several years, and we have family members, myself included, that were staying with her. That's why I basically semi-retired from actually working face-to-face with people and kids and all that, and I started this podcast so I could do it near mother, or, and be available to run to her at any time I needed to. Excuse me. And we did have a care team working with her. But anyway, mother was heavenly healed on October the 30th. She passed peacefully in her own home with her family, with myself and my siblings. My dad passed 24 years ago on October the 28th, and then mother has passed now October the 30th. He was buried November the 1st, and she was buried November the 2nd. So I know this is commonplace for everybody in the world. You're born, and then you pass, but it's still hard for the ones that are left behind. So just pray for us and our little family as we navigate through this new part of our life. We're trying to pick up and move on, which we will. And I just wanted to touch base with you guys and let you all know what was going on in my little world. But moving forward, I will try to stick to what I've been talking about, which is child sexual abuse prevention. And again, today we're going to be talking about exhibitionism. I just wanted to throw that little personal piece of the puzzle out there. Pray for everyone that went through all these hurricanes, Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And just pray for our little family as we pick up the pieces and move forward without mother physically being here. Okay? All right. Let's get down to business here, and we're going to talk about exhibitionism. First, I'm going to go over what exhibitionism is, and I will go over some statistical data. And then we're going to talk about how exhibitionism affects children. Exhibitionism can involve exposing one's genitals or other private body parts to a child, performing sexual acts like masturbation in front of a child, encouraging or forcing a child to witness sexual acts. This type of behavior is illegal and constitutes sexual abuse, as it exploits the vulnerability of the child and violates their emotional and psychological safety. The emotional harm can be severe, as the child may feel confused, scared, or guilty, even though they bear no responsibility for the abuse. Statistics on exhibitionism, as it relates specifically to child sexual abuse, are often grouped under broader categories of sexual abuse or child exploitation, making it difficult to find precise numbers on exhibitionism alone. However, some general stats and data points can provide insight into the prevalence of child sexual abuse, which includes exhibitionistic behavior. Studies estimate that 20 to 50% of exhibitionists have engaged in exhibitionistic behaviors specifically targeting children. FBI data and reports from organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children suggest that incidents of exhibitionism, including indecent exposure cases involving children, are underreported. Children may not always disclose these events, either out of confusion, shame, or fear of consequences. The emotional and psychological trauma from non-contact sexual abuse, such as exhibitionism, can be significant. Victims may experience long-term mental health issues similar to those who have experienced physical sexual abuse. Exhibitionism often occurs without physical contact, making it harder to report and track. It's considered a non-contact form of child sexual abuse. There is significant underreporting of all forms of child sexual abuse, including exhibitionism, due to various social and psychological barriers, including fear, shame, or confusion about what happened. Given these factors, while exhibitionism is known to be a subset of child sexual abuse, precise statistics specifically for this behavior remain scarce. Researchers and law enforcement agencies often categorize it under broader forms of child sexual exploitation or indecent exposure offenses. Exhibitionism, as a form of child sexual abuse, can have profound and lasting effects on a child victim. Even though there may be no physical contact involved, the psychological and emotional harm caused by such exposure can be just as damaging as other forms of abuse. The effects can vary depending on factors like the child's age, the severity of the act, and the child's understanding of the event. Here are some key ways in which exhibitionism can affect a child. Children are often confused when exposed to sexual content or behavior they do not understand. The experience may feel threatening or confusing because the child lacks the developmental ability to process what they are witnessing. If the exhibitionist is someone the child knows, such as a family member or a trusted adult, the child may feel frightened but unable to react or tell anyone, fearing punishment or harm. Children may wrongly believe they somehow caused the behavior or are responsible for it, leading to feelings of guilt. A child may feel intense shame or embarrassment, especially if they do not understand that they were a victim of inappropriate behavior. This shame can prevent them from seeking help or talking about the experience. The trauma of witnessing inappropriate sexual behavior can lead to anxiety, depression, and even post-traumatic stress disorder, yes, PTSD. The child may develop an ongoing fear of adults, the outside world, or feel unsafe in certain environments. Nightmares, fear of sleeping alone, or insomnia can result from the emotional trauma of being exposed to sexual acts. If the perpetrator is someone the child knows, this can cause a deep mistrust of adults and authority figures, affecting their future relationships and their sense of safety. Exposure to sexual acts at a young age can distort a child's developing understanding of sex and intimacy. This confusion may lead to inappropriate sexual behavior later on, or the child may struggle with their own sexuality as they grow older. Some children may become preoccupied with sexual thoughts or behaviors, while others may develop an aversion to anything related to sexuality. Some children may become more aggressive or irritable as a result of the trauma, while others may withdraw from social interactions, becoming more isolated and avoiding peers or adults. Younger children, in particular, may revert to earlier developmental stages, exhibiting behaviors such as bedwetting, thumb-sucking, or clinginess. Children exposed to exhibitionism may withdraw from friends or avoid social situations due to embarrassment, fear, or a sense of shame. Children who are victims of exhibitionism may be at higher risk for further sexual abuse or exploitation. Perpetrators may target children who appear vulnerable, and without intervention, the child may become a repeated victim. Over time, unresolved trauma from the event can lead to a range of mental health disorders in adulthood, including PTSD, anxiety disorders, depression, or problems with self-esteem and relationships. As with other forms of abuse, children affected by exhibitionism may turn to alcohol or drugs later in life as a way to cope with unresolved emotional pain. Children may struggle to talk about the incident, fearing that they won't be believed or that they will be blamed for what happened. Younger children, in particular, may not have the vocabulary or understanding to describe what they witnessed, making it even harder for them to seek help. Exhibitionism can deeply affect a child's emotional development, but with appropriate intervention, children can recover and go on to lead healthy, fulfilling lives. With all this in mind, and I realize what I'm speaking of is generally a face-to-face contact where somebody's actually seeing somebody do something, you need to monitor what your children watch on TV and on the computer, because that can also impact them. The long-term impact of exhibitionism on a child victim can be mitigated through early intervention, counseling, and support. Trauma-informed therapy, such as cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, or play therapy for younger children, can help victims process their feelings and heal from their experience. Support from trusted adults, whether family, teachers, or mental health professionals, is critical in helping the child regain a sense of safety and trust. Okay, I'm fixing to wrap this up. Remember that knowledge is power. Shoot me an email at csapreventionbyzina@gmail.com if you would like additional information or have any questions. Remember, whether you learn about child sexual abuse prevention from me or someone else, please learn it from somewhere. There are some very informative podcasts, blogs, and local education on the subject offered right in your community. Just check around. Please don't forget to take good care of you. Remember, you are important and you matter. And of course, thanks for looking out for all those kids out there, from babies to tweens to teens. Looking forward to tossing some more information your way soon. Thanks for listening. And I hope you all have a great rest of the day.
Don't forget me say, I appreciate it.